Tim Duncan, the big fundamental. How are you, man? Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. How much do you get the Tim Duncan name reference?
Yeah.
Is that all day,
we got to
every
be the
day?
first people ever, right? Right, Tim?
Sorry about that.
Multiple times per day. It's a great
God.
problem to have. He
Yes.
has a great reputation, but I'm always known as the original, so he's done a great job with my name.
The OG Tim Duncan, the new AD down at UNO,
right.
joining us here on Off the Bench. All right, you're from the South. You're from Memphis. So you understand the culture down here in the southern region of the United States. What's it like being in New Orleans?
It's been
Sorry,
awesome,
New
man.
Orleans.
It reminded
New
me
Orleans.
so
Sorry
much
about that.
of Memphis. Yeah, it reminded me so much of Memphis. That was one of the things that was so attractive about this job. That I'm in a river city that's very similar to Memphis with a passionate fan base. And I think we just need to reinvigorate a little bit. And that's what made me excited to come back to this area of the country.
And Tim, I guess I'd want to pick your brain. You mentioned reinvigorating the fan base, and I went to a lot of UNO games last year, a ton of basketball games, and it was a really good team. I mean, right on the edge of making the NCAA tournament, and yet, well, some games that have a fair amount of fans, it didn't quite feel like the attendance matched the product that was being put on the court. So as an athletic director, like, how do you look to address problems like that?
We have to look at our games as for its entertainment value. I mean, there's a lot to do in New Orleans, so we have to make sure that when people come to the game, they're experiencing more than just the game. We want to make sure, because everyone doesn't come to the game with the same thing, the same way they used to 20 years ago. They want to be on their phones. They want to be entertained during the timeouts. They want to feel like they're a part of the experience. That's what's so great about college athletics is the passion and the experience. So our goal is to tap into that, have multiple things going on during the timeouts, in the stands, have an in-arena host who can help liven up the place a little bit. And I think slowly when that message starts to get out, people will, when we invite them to come, they'll have a great time, watch a great game, and still want to come back to experience that.
We were talking to Mickey Joseph, who's the LSU wide receivers coach, earlier in hour number one. He was talking about recruiting and that the advantage for them is that it's all about the relationships. And one thing it seems like you're trying to form here in your first 100 days on the job is relationships around the city and getting out and meeting with influential business members from the city, influential businesses. How has that been? What's been the message? How are they receiving the UNO message?
It's been awesome, man. It's been really powerful to get out and meet different people from different corners of the city. I started out with meeting with folks who are closer to the university, season ticket holders, alums, and now that's started to spread just a little bit with just corporate and nonprofit leaders in the city. And it's the same. They all want to see. They all know how valuable UNO is to the city of New Orleans, and they understand that having a strong athletics program will serve as a front porch for the university that can help, with enrollment and bring a little entertainment value to our corner of the city. So people have been very responsive so far, and they have pledged to help. What I want to do is go through this first 100 days and listen to everyone and get different opinions and feedback, and then as I'm doing that, formulating a plan and then going back to these folks and say, okay, here's how we think you can help us.
We're huge fans of Coach Mark Schlesinger. His accomplishments on the floor, the success on the floor, speaks for itself, but he's a great dude as well. You might have the best young coach in baseball in Blake Dean in the state. What's it like what's your sales pitch to coaches, and what do you make of the evaluation of the coaches you have on campus?
I think we're very fortunate to have two people and two great persons in Coach Schles and Coach Blake on our staff, and as well as the other coaches. I think that's one of the things I was able to inherit is Derek and the team before us did a great job of hiring coaches. So I'm really excited to work with these stalwarts in the community. They're respected, throughout the community and in their profession. So I think that gives us a head start on moving forward. So our young men who plays for those sports and the young women who play for the other sports are really fortunate to have leaders like the ones that they have here at UNO.
Tim, what's your personal journey been like up to this point? Just kind of like, I guess, what led you to this moment where now all of a sudden you are the athletic director at a really nice university like UNO?
Yeah, after college, I floundered a little bit, try to find find myself, and I ended up going to graduate school, and that's when I really got focused. And I worked at Russell Athletics and R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company on the Winston brand when it was Winston Cup back in the old days on NASCAR.
Yeah,
So,
wow.
yeah, I worked for Winston, worked on NASCAR. That was really eye-opening. I learned a lot of skills there. I owned an event marketing company, and then I went to my alma mater, which is the University of Memphis, and asked them to help support my business, and they offered me a job in fundraising. So that's what got me started in college athletics. And I've worked for 12 years to get to be a Division I athletic director. I was a Division II AD for 7 years, and I wanted to get to Division I, so I went to Northeastern last year as a deputy AD for external, and that just opened the doors for the experience I had at the Division I level, doing some really cool things. And Dr. Nicolo and the search firm found me there, and as soon as they gave me a call to see whether I was interested in participating in the search, I jumped over it. I jumped all over it because, I played for a university in Memphis that was synonymous with the name of the city. And I know how powerful that is. I grew up in Memphis. My dad taking me to Memphis State at that time, taking me to Memphis State games and practices when I was a kid, and that's the only school I wanted to play for. So I know how powerful that is. So my job here, I see it is to create that experience for kids in the Ninth Ward or kids in Metairie or Kenner or Chalmette and bring them on our campus, have them come to our practices and expose them and allow them to see that this is a great alternative. So part of that starts with meeting the business community and filling up those stands and entertaining them. So when those kids do come, they're in awe of not only our student athletes and our campus, but the whole experience. So that's been powerful, and this is cathartic for me to come back and be in a similar situation to which I grew up in.
I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
I get it.
Yes,
I
sir.
get how you won
Sold.
the national search now. I feel like,
Sold.
I'm like, swords up. Let's do it.
I mean, the OG.
Tim Duncan, a UNO athletic director. Tim, your arrival coincides with another big arrival to the city, Zion Williamson coming to town, New Orleans
Right.
Pelicans. Is this kind of a basketball buzz in the city right now, man? This may be a really dumb question, but like with something like that going on, is there any way that you look to capitalize? Is there anything that you can do there?
Absolutely. I've already reached out through some back channels to see if I can meet with David Griffin and/or Swin Cash. I have several ideas how we can work together to help hype the basketball atmosphere and culture, not only for the professional team, but the college teams and all the other teams. So hopefully I can get an audience with him and that group. I think it makes sense for the New Orleans Pelicans and the New Orleans Privateers to, develop some sort of relationship so we can capitalize on all this good fortune that we've all had by the arrival of Zion and the great moves that David Griffin has made to make this a very relevant team. I think it's only going to help us.
Could football ever come back to UNO?
I think we would need, a major donor to step up and help us get that funded. Obviously, our conference supports it. There's only 2 teams in our conference, the Southland Conference, that do not have it. I'm not sure if that's realistic without, a major donor stepping in and donating, 25 to 30 million to get us started. Because the prices, the cost to start football these days are so outrageous that it would need an influx of money, not just to start it, but to maintain it at the level that we would maintain it to, be competitive.
I think you have the best basketball venue in the state.
It's great. I love it. Lakefront Arena, man.
It is, and I played here.
Oh,
I
wow.
was at Memphis. It was Memphis State. We played in, I think, my freshman and sophomore year. So I think in 88, the fall of 88, my freshman year in college, we played down here and we eked out a win. And then they came to us when Irvin Johnson was on the team. I'm not sure if he was on both years, but they came to us the next year. So I've seen Lakefront rock it, and I'm naive and crazy enough to think that we can get it rocking again. So I've seen it at its best. It is a great venue, and I know how it looks when it's packed, and our goal is to get it back that way.
UNO, if you're a supporter listening to this for the first time, you got to be excited, man. Very impressed with Tim Duncan, the new AD, the OG coming down and starting here. First 100 days on the job, getting out and getting 100 meetings and stopping by here with us on Off the Bench. Hope we can do this again. Thank you.